Have you ever noticed that two of the world's biggest faiths, Christianity and Islam, though different in so many ways, share the same unsettling conviction that the world as we know it will not continue forever? That history is speeding toward a final hour, and that long before that moment arrives, humanity will witness signs, massive, undeniable, earth-shaking signs that warn us the end is near. For centuries, people ignored these predictions, seeing them as distant, symbolic, or the fears of ancient civilizations. But today, something is different, because some of those ancient warnings now look disturbingly familiar. Believers on both sides, Christians reading the Bible and Muslims reading the Quran, look at the modern world and whisper the same thought. What if the last days are closer than we think? Both faiths list many signs, but here we will follow 10 of the most shocking predictions. 10 warnings that Christians and Muslims both recognize, often with surprising similarities. 10 signs that, according to many, have begun unfolding before our own eyes. And when we reach the end, we will look at the final few predictions, still unfulfilled, that believers say will shake the entire world. IT begins with one of the strangest and clearest predictions of all. The idea that time, real time, would move faster, centuries before modern technology. Both traditions warned of a future where years feel like months and months like days. Christians point to verses reminding us that the final generation will live in a world of rushed days and collapsing seasons. And Muslims recall a prophecy that says the hour will come when time shrinks, when life accelerates unnaturally. Today, people everywhere say the same thing without even realizing it. Time is moving too fast. Technology compresses our lives. Our attention spans shrink. Events overlap at impossible speeds. Both traditions said this would happen, and many believe this prediction has already come true. But the warnings continue, darker and more disruptive. Another prophecy describes a world drowning in open immorality. Not hidden sin, not secret corruption, but a society celebrating what once was shameful and mocking what once was sacred. Christians see this reflected in the words of the New Testament, where the last days are described as a time when wrong will be called right and right will be called wrong. Muslims point to descriptions of the end times where modesty fades, family structures collapse, and shamelessness becomes normal. Today, these warnings feel less like prophecy and more like daily headlines. Many believers argue that this prediction, too, is unfolding exactly as described. Then comes a prediction that neither ancient writers nor medieval scholars could have imagined. That deserts, once empty, poor, forgotten, would suddenly rise and compete in building skyscrapers that scrape the sky. One tradition describes tribes of shepherds becoming builders of towering structures. The other speaks of cities rising rapidly at the end of history. For centuries, this sounded impossible, until the modern Middle East appeared with cities like Dubai, Riyadh, Doha, massive towers rising from sand. To millions, this is not coincidence. It is another fulfilled sign. Now the warnings grow global. Both faiths describe a future overflowing with knowledge, fast, worldwide, unstoppable. A world where information spreads to every corner of the earth. A world where secrets vanish. A world where knowledge becomes a flood. The Bible speaks of this increase. Islamic tradition describes a generation where knowledge multiplies and becomes easily accessible. Today's world, with the internet, AI, instant communication, matches these predictions word for word. For many, this is one of the clearest fulfilled signs of all. But not all predictions are hopeful. Some describe a rise in catastrophic natural events, a world shaken by storms, earthquakes, and sun disasters. Christians reference the birth pains of the last days, where natural events intensify as the hour approaches. Muslims recall descriptions of storms, quakes, and calamities that increase near the end. We live in a century where natural disasters hit harder, faster, and more frequently than ever recorded. Believers see this as another ancient prediction unfolding in real time. Then there is the prophecy of global conflict. Wars not limited to tribes or small kingdoms, but humanity divided into massive, violent blocks. The Bible warns that nations will rise against nations in unprecedented ways. Islamic teachings describe a time when nearly every major nation becomes entangled in war. The 20th and 21st centuries, world wars, global alliances, nuclear tensions, fit these warnings perfectly. Some believers even argue that the world is moving towards something larger, something more dangerous, as though the prophecy has begun but not yet finished. But the most chilling predictions are the ones that describe the collapse of trust, where lies spread faster than truth, false leaders rise, and deception becomes so powerful that entire populations become trapped in confusion. Christians speak of false prophets and deceivers emerging in the final days. Muslims describe people who distort religion, mislead crowds, and prepare the world for the ultimate deceiver. Today, misinformation spreads like fire. People believe illusions more easily than evidence. Leaders rise and fall in waves of controversy and manipulation. This, too, believers say, is a sign that has already begun. And then comes a prediction that always shocks people when they hear it. That humanity would become divided not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. Split into extremes of belief and disbelief, values and chaos. Both traditions describe a world where people become polarized, unable to find middle ground. A world where confusion grows and unity dies. Today's society reflects this frighteningly well. Now we reach the prediction that believers find the most troubling. The global collapse of ethics, not in individuals, but in systems. Both scriptures hint at a time when corruption becomes institutional, when justice becomes selective, when the rich manipulate the world and the poor suffer silently. Economic instability, collapsing currencies, global manipulation. This, according to millions, is unfolding right now. And then, the final prediction, one of the oldest and most dramatic, that humanity would witness events so massive, so world-changing, that life would never again return to normal. Christians call these the beginning of sorrows. Muslims call them the minor signs. Both traditions agree. Once these events begin, they accelerate and never reverse. Many believers argue that this stage has already started. So, if these predictions are truly unfolding, faster than ever, then what remains? According to both traditions, only a few major events. Events so huge, so catastrophic, so supernatural, that the world will never mistake them as ordinary. The rise of the final deceiver, an Antichrist, Dajjal, a figure who manipulates the world with illusions and false promises. The unleashing of destructive forces known as Gog and Magog, restless, unstoppable, tearing through borders, and the return of Jesus, Ayase, who comes not quietly, but powerfully, ending deception and restoring truth. These major signs have not yet happened, but believers in both religions say, when they do, the final countdown begins. In the end, these predictions were never meant to scare us, but to wake us, to remind us that life is temporary, that power is temporary, that humanity's story is moving toward a final chapter, one that no one can escape. We don't know the hour, we don't know the day, but if even a fraction of these ancient warnings are unfolding, then perhaps the end is closer than we think. And maybe the true lesson is simple, that before the final hour comes, we should reflect on who we are, how we live, and what kind of legacy we leave behind. Because whether the end is near or far, every moment we live brings us one step closer to it.